Is Hunter Wohler the breakout star, not just for the defense, but for the Wisconsin Badgers this year?
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, as always. Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Thank you so much for everybody tuning into this. As always, we really do appreciate you allowing us to be a tiny part of your day. And let's get going. We got the three amigos on today. Classic movie and an even more classic podcast that we're creating here. Justin, Rajiv. Guys, we're talking safeties. And we're going to just start off with the big question. I put it here. I led off in the intro. It's our show's title. Is Hunter Wohler going to be the big breakout star for the Badgers this year? Or is he not going to live up to that hype?
I think it depends on what we're looking at with him. If we're talking for the team overall, no, I don't think so. Because I think that guy is a fellow by the name of Bryson Green, who I think is going to absolutely explode this year. For the defense, yes. I think that is going to be – Wohler has the skill set that perfectly fits the dollar position and allows him to be a guy – like at McGuanago, he did a ton of this type of stuff, played in the box, came downhill, and blew up plays like crazy in high school. And he has got some great range. He's a guy that I'd love to watch cover a tight end. I think he's got the length for it. So I think he's almost a perfect fit for this kind of hybrid role that we plan on putting him in, which I think gives him some flexibility. He's faster than any of our linebackers. So he's a guy that if he has to make a play and get to a spot that's one of the things that I heard coming out of camp was that he was the guy that was kind of kept making plays that you're not supposed to be able to make. Like the play is set up so that if it's run this particular way, he's supposed to be unaccounted for because there's no way he can get to it. And now you have a guy that's actually just athletic enough that can actually get to the play, which is where I think that Wohler has a chance to be the best safety that we've had in this type of role since Caputo. Caputo blew up so many plays back in the day and when Aranda was running defense. And I think that's the type of season that Wohler can have.
Is he the star of the defense? I would say he's up there with Muma. I think that it's hard to say what it's going to happen because of, we don't really know what the safeties are going to, the role they're going to play in this defense. We'll find out soon enough. Is he the best safety? Absolutely. He's going to be great. I think this spot is super deep. Hunter Wohler the guy's had injuries. It's time for him to really step up and be that winning guy. And we expect him to. I mean, he definitely has all the physical tools. There's no reason why this team's not going to be super good because of him. And he can kind of do it all over the field. He's the biggest of our safeties at 211. It's close with the other guys. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's the star of the defense, but he's the star of the safety group and a very, very deep safety group at that.
You're muted.
Can't hear you, Ryan.
I am muted. Sorry, my children were running around. And I'm trying to be respectful of everybody. I was going to say, I just had this incredibly lucid point that everybody missed. I'm not going to be able to recreate that. I was going to say, though, I think that he checks a ton of boxes for what you want in a modern safety. I think, like Justin said, he can run the seams. He can run tight ends down. He can play some center field. But we know he can come up and be physical. He's going to make plays. And this is now his third year, right, in college football. So he should be kind of entering that prime of that college football. So I think he checks a lot of boxes. I used to think when he first came in the program, I thought he'd be more of an in-the-box guy like a Caputo. I think he's got more range than that, so I think he has more of an all-around game. I do have a question a little bit, and I'll kick this over to you guys. It feels like he is a similar physical type of player, maybe to a Kamoi Latu in a sense. Travian Blaylock's 5'11". I don't know if we have a center fielder in our safety group, like a real good, rangy, long center fielder. Is that Hunter Wohler, or is that a spot? When I'm thinking of a center fielder, I'm thinking back to like a McAvoy, somebody who can really patrol sideline to sideline in the deep middle.
I think to me that's Blaylock. I actually think that he's got plenty of speed out on the back end. I think that he's a guy who can really run. I would be shocked if he's not a 4 or 5 guy. I think he may be one of the faster guys that we have on defense. So I think that he is going to be able to do that without a problem at all. Latu has probably got underrated speed too, I think. I don't know if he's necessarily a guy you look at as a center fielder in terms of his ability to turn and drop, but I think he is a guy who athletically has plenty of tools to work with out there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I actually think that Braedyn Moore, not now because he's young, but I think he has that ability to be that center fielder with the ball skills that he has. I really like Braedyn Moore coming up through the system. But right now, yeah, Blaylock's, he's a little small, he's quick. Typical, like true center field type of safety, probably not. But collectively as a group, all those holes can easily be filled.
All right, let's do some positional grades here. We're going to get in the depth chart. So the top three of Hunter, Wohler, and we're going to talk about all these players as well. Kamoi, Latu, Travian, Blaylock. Then you have Preston Zachman, Austin Brown, Braedyn Moore kind of behind them. I'll just kick this first grade off. For me, it's an A. I think this is an exceptionally strong 2 deep with star power at the top. There's veteran players. There's physical players. This is a spot where we're going to be extremely athletic, long, physical, and experienced and deep. I think it checks every box. For me, coming into this year, then we'll get into future grades in a second. I think this is one of the best positions on the team. Rajiv, I know we're going to talk about that later with the topic you wanted to bring up, but I have an A for this unit this year.
100% agree. It's probably it's one of the only A's on the team. There are a couple other ones here and there, but this is the strongest in my opinion. It's just so deep. I mean, we don't have positions where you can legitimately say that if a top guy goes down, we're going to be okay. You can say that with this group. I mean, with Blaylock and Brown and all these guys, there's so much depth. And frankly, it's that they're all very different. They all have really good skills. The skill set's there. The range, the speed, the ball skills, everything that you want out of a safety, the tackling, these guys check those boxes and then some. This is a very, very strong unit for us. Definite A.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and give the hat trick on that. Anytime you have a room that has 2 guys that are potentially all conference types, which I think that's the ceiling for Wohler and Latu, it's really hard not to give that group an A overall. And I really like some of the young pieces that are coming in behind him.
Well, let's pivot there, Justin, and just stay with you talking about young pieces. Give me a future grade where we're looking at everybody in the freshman class coming in, the incoming recruits, all the young players. Give me a future grade here.
So it's an interesting room right now. Looking at it, it's a little light on bodies going forward. Like there's a potential that all three of these guys are gone after this year, and if that happens, you're effectively looking at Zachman, Brendan Moore, Justin Taylor, and Austin Brown, which isn't a bad group, but that's light on bodies. Like you probably want 5 or 6 safeties in the room, and you don't really have anyone else that's in there. Prescott's going to be coming in. I really like him as athletically. I would say you probably want one more guy. Here's how I'll look at it. I kind of talked to you a little bit about this. I'll give it a B+ if it's the guys that we have there now with Prescott. I think it's an A- if Snowden comes over.
Interesting. That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that with Snowden coming over. I still think he's going to be a corner, but yeah, I'm going to go with a B just because there's a lot of pieces right now, not a lot of pieces for the future. Although I will say Braedyn Moore, I think will be an absolute star for us in the future. So if he can continue to develop, he can do well. He's got a really good frame. There's a lot of options there. I think he's kind of that guy that solidifies it. But I would say, yeah, I mean a B right now, just because it's hard to really see where that depth is going to come from a couple years down the road.
So I'm going B+. I'm just a little higher because I actually really like the combo going forward. It could be as soon as next year of Austin Brown and Braedyn Moore. That's 2 big physical safeties that in past years would have been the highest rated recruit, the most excited players we were about the safety spot. And now they start to blend into this mix that this coaching staff has developed. So I love both those players. I like JT Taylor as a winner, an instinctual player. I'm pretty high on Kamoi Prescott. We had Brian Smith on, and he's really high on Kamoi Prescott as a big physical safety. I do think there's a chance Snowden moves over, but even if he doesn't, that group of 4 right there, plus Preston Zachman potentially, I think that's a really strong group going forward. It's not an A because we don't know for sure, But I think that's a pretty strong group going forward. John Kottmeyer says injuries have held Hunter Wohler back for too long. Hope he explodes into the field in a year where some think our D will take a step back for sure, John. All right, we got to take a quick break for our friends of the show. We're going to come back. We have more grades to give out, storylines, over-unders, a bunch more coming up on Locked On Badgers. But we do need to take a quick break for our friends of the show over at LinkedIn. And again, we talked about this. Justin and Rajiv would talk about this, or would understand this. Every hire, everything you're doing now, bringing in talent, we're talking recruiting all the time. It is a high-stakes acquisition. It's a high-stakes wager. That's how small businesses are hiring people. You want to be 100% certain you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team fast and for free. It's something I've used. I talked about a lot. I had a guy, I did a job interview with this company. They offered me the job. I didn't take it, but I've stayed connected with him through LinkedIn, and through that connection, I've actually expanded my network, even though I didn't take the job. LinkedIn helps you expand your networks both as a hirer and as someone looking for jobs. It's why small businesses continue to rank LinkedIn number one among competitors for delivering quality hires. Simple tools, screening questions, get rid of all the nonsense that has no business coming through the door. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let's get Justin, let's get Rajiv back on. Let's take a couple comments here. Let me pop back over to the comments. Let us know your grades, too, for the position. Future, present. Definitely curious on that one. So Bob Milborn says Hunter is the next Jim Leonard. John Kottmeyer says Blaylock impresses me every time I hear him answer questions from the press. He's very mature, which he's, you know what? Yeah,
Married, has a kid.
Yeah, like he's been in the program for a long time. He is an impressive kid. Gentlemen, we'll get more comments in here, but let's continue talking about this position. We got some over-under, some storylines. Let's go here with over-under. Actually, let's go here because Rajiv, you brought this up, and I think this is a really interesting question to kick off this next segment. So I'll just kick it over to you, and you can bring that one up.
Yeah, the question I was kind of asking is, do we think this is really the best position at the program right now? I mean, to me, it's between wide receiver and safety, but I'm going to actually give it to safety and say this is the strongest and deepest position we have on the roster right now, mainly because there's proven guys at the top. Look, I know the receivers are going to be fantastic, and I'm not saying that this is not a slight on them, but there's still some unknowns in that world. Bryson Green, now after watching him in practice, yeah, obviously he's pretty incredible. Seeing the videos that are coming out and the storylines, and yeah, that makes it stronger. But with Wohler and with Latu and Blaylock and Zachman and Brown and everybody and a young Braedyn Moore, I just feel like this is the strongest position we have. And now you couple that with the great cornerbacks that we have, and it just means that defensive secondary is really going to own this entire season for us. So I think it is the best positional unit that we have. Curious what you guys think about that.
I think that it is the strongest in terms of if we were going to grade this position in terms of what it means to the actual team, I would go with wide receiver. And I say that because if the wide receivers achieve their upside, the impact that it's going to have on this team is higher to me than the impact is going to be if we have a couple of all-conference safeties. The defense will be really good, but if the offense actually has a pulse this year, we're talking a dark horse playoff team. So to me, that's just the difference there, is that we're so used to not having quality play at the wide receiver position that if we actually get it really makes a substantial change to what our trajectory is. We're used to having good safety play. Maybe not all conference safety play, but good safety play.
Yeah, I go with Rajiv on this one for the simple fact that, I mean, how many receivers potentially could we pull? You're going to have formations with 4, sometimes maybe even 5 receivers, right? You're only going to play 2 or 3 safeties a down. You're probably 3, but even then, you don't need as many bodies. So the receivers, when you just start listing out the names, it sounds more impressive because you have a lot more bodies, but you need a lot more bodies, right? So the depth doesn't spread out quite as far. I think safety is just so deep because you can go down to 5 or even 6, and you can feel pretty good about it. And there's going to be formations where you only have 2 safeties on the field. And you're going to have 4 quality dudes sitting on the sideline, gnawing on their mouthpiece, ready to get in there and tear a head off of a fellow Big Ten running back. And I think that group is so deep They're so experienced. I think the upside of Wohler is higher than the upside of any receiver this year, even a Bryson Green. Not maybe long term. Maybe CJ Williams, maybe something else there. But I think this year the Wohler will be the biggest star out of this group between both of the positions, receiver and safety. So I think there's more depth relative to the bodies you need, and I think Wohler is the biggest star.
I think
I was with you until you said that comment about the. I actually think that Bryson Green probably is going to be that biggest star. I don't think Wohler's going to be the star between the two position groups, but when you look at the groups as a whole, I feel like that's where the safeties they take the win for me for sure. But as far as highest upside between those two groups, I'm still going to say that's on the receiver side because you got CJ with a lot of upside and Bryson Green. But positional groups in general, safety's still winning it for me.
Okay.
I think there's got to be a bet there between Ryan and I at some point because I'm definitely we'll have to figure something out. But there's going to be some kind of bet between the wide receiver room and safety room on this. If that's
I don't know how you measure
I
who the biggest star is, though. That's a tough one to measure, but we could figure something out.
No, we can figure, but postseason accolades, something like that, or draft position if they both go.
Let's do it, man. Let's
figure
do it.
something out.
Let's go. Let's get a couple more of these comments up here. This is from Garbito. He says safety may be our deepest position group. Excited to see Blaylock. I mean, Blaylock was a guy we were excited about last year, and then with the injury, it's a bummer.
Last 3 years. Yeah. He's just a guy who's perpetually injured. So hopefully he has a really good year.
Kurt Yeager says, let's go. Mitch Ames, most highly anticipated season in Badger football history, which Bo asks more than Barry Alvarez, more than his season. I honestly wasn't around for that. I was around alive, but I don't really know what the hype level for that was. I don't know if anyone did here. I think we're all about the same spot.
That was my formative years of Badger football, and I really like it. It's kind of a cloudy at this point in my.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this one then. This is Robert Sorensen. Over under total takeaways for this defense. I'm going to shift this a little bit, Robert, but I'm going to take the premise of yours because we have an over under for the safeties. Over under interceptions 7.5 for this entire safety group. I'll kick this one off. I'm going over. They had 9 last year, right? Now, Torchio had 5 of those. So just because you had 9 last year doesn't mean you're replacing Torchio's 5. But I went under. We did our cornerbacks preview. Cannonell was on the show. I went under for the cornerbacks, and I did it because I felt like the safeties are going to be the playmaking backbone of this defense. I think Wohler's going to get several. I think Latu's going to get several. I think Blaylock's going to get several. I think a guy like Zachman can come in with 1 or 2. I think they're going to get like 8 or 9 or 10. So I'm going over on the safeties 7.5 interceptions.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely over for me for 2 reasons. One, we know that the opposing teams are going to be throwing the ball more, given the fact that our offense is theoretically going to be scoring more. So they're going to be kind of playing some shootouts, and the aggressiveness that Luke Fickell wants his safeties to play with, right? So like they're going to be going all over the place. Some of them are going to be playing up on the line at times, like linebacking, and there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of versatility with the safety group. So because of how aggressive they're going to play and with the other team throwing the ball like we expect them to, I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I'm going to go over for a couple of reasons. Number one being that I think we're going to have 3 safeties on the field an awful lot this year, which more guys on the field is going to lead to more of those turnovers falling in the safety's hands rather than linebacker, corner. I think there's just going to be more guys out there that are capable of making plays. I'll be shocked if it's under 10. I think that I think it's going to be a very ball hawking defense. I think they may give up a few more plays because I think they're going to be more aggressive than we've been in recent years. But I think that they have a chance to be very big on creating turnovers.
Danimal65 says over. Sometimes we'll see 3 safeties on the field. And I love his second part of this. He said, plus we should be ahead more often than last year. So teams are going to be throwing the ball. That is a great point. Over under Hunter Wohler 60 tackles. So the leading tackler at the safety spot last year for the Badgers was 56. I had it written down. I lost it. But it was Torchio with like 56, 55. Over under Wohler with 60 this year.
Look, I think Wohler's going to have a great year, but I'm going to say under just because I think those tackles are going to get spread out a little bit more. And that's, again, not anything against him. I think he's fantastic. But I think as a group, you're going to see a couple guys are going to be maybe 55, 52. That's going to be spread between the linebackers and the cornerbacks and how they play. But yeah, slightly under, not anything bad. I just feel like it's going to be a lot more spread out.
I'm going to actually take the over on this. And the reason why I think is because I think he's going to be in the box an awful lot. which is going to give him the chance to come up and almost pick up some linebacker type play and get the opportunity to grab some tackles that normally wouldn't be there for a safety.
Yeah, I'm on the over as well. I think Hunter Wohler, especially since I just made a quasi bet with you that he's going to have the hugest, he's going to be the biggest star here. Of course, I'm going over. Absolutely. Logan Couch, by the way, says Hunter Wohler have a breakout year, be a first round pick. Let's go, Logan. Jump on this bandwagon with me. Maybe Justin. Maybe that's what we do for the bet. Who's the higher NFL draft pick, Bryson or?
That's what I said. But we'll have to take a look. I said postseason accolades or possibly draft position.
Okay, let's do that. The other quick thing with Hunter, and the other reason I'm going to go over is I think. Justin, you mentioned it. We're going to play 3 safety. A couple of people mentioned it. Someone in the comments did as well. Justin, you mentioned we're going to play a lot of 3 safeties. When we go to 2 safeties, I can almost guarantee you Hunter's going to be one of those 2.
Yeah, he will.
And then Kamoi and Blaylock are probably going to be kind of mixing in and out. I just think Hunter's going to have so many opportunities that he's going to go hunting. I'm sorry, I could not do that.
You just had to do that.
Listen, Hunter's has legit NFL measurables.
Yeah,
like he's a guy that NFL teams are going to look at and say, all right, he's 6'2", he's 210, he's probably runs in the high 4.5s somewhere type range, which is still nice for a safety. So he's rangy. He loves to hit. That's exactly what teams are looking for.
Yep. And the elephant in the room, he needs to stay healthy. Right. He struggled with that. Some of that's bad luck.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about, we have a couple more storylines. The safety recruit that broke our heart. Most underrated player at the position. Somebody we don't think gets a respect. We got a bunch more coming up with safeties on Locked On Badgers, plus your comments. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show. And a quick second to say, as always, thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Badgers. We really do appreciate it. At least I do. I don't know about Justin Rajiv, but I care. All right, let's get back into the show here. Let's get Justin Rajiv back in.
You're not the only one that cares.
No, I know. I know. When I take you guys into the green room, it gives me opportunity to be a jerk. All right, let's go here. So a couple more. Let me pull up on our agenda here to make sure I don't miss anything. Most interesting storyline this year, and it could be one we've already kind of hit on. If it is, we don't have to spend too much time on it. I can jump in this one because I got one right off the top of my head that I'm always interested in the young guys. Like this sparked when Justin and we were talking about the potential of losing the 3 big dogs from this defense. I want to see in mop up duty Braedyn Moore. I want to see in mop up duty Preston Zachman. I want to know if next year there's an answer because I don't think I have many questions with the top 3, but I have no idea with that next group. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's something I'm really curious, especially when you play a Buffalo. Minnesota, Nebraska, teams are going to wax. I want to see the young guys and see what we have for next year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like Braedyn Moore was where I was going to go with this just because he seems like a really, really exciting prospect for us. I'm also really interested in the formations and how often are we seeing 3 safeties out there? How often are we seeing 2? How are they used? Are they going to be up in the box like Justin mentioned with Wohler being in the box a lot? I'm really excited to see. It's going to be so different than a traditional base defense that we're so used to seeing year in and year out, which has been fantastic for us. But I feel like things are going to be very different this year. So much more versatility in how they line up and where they go. And so I feel like that, to me, is a storyline within itself. And definitely Braedyn Moore, how much we see of him and how good he really is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel the same way. I think Moore is going to be a player. Same with Austin Brown. I really think that he's got a lot of upside, and I think it sounds like he's been borderline pushing as it is. If Blaylock wasn't here, I think we'd be hearing about Brown right now. So I think that they're in a good spot for him. He's ready to play mentally, which is the concern with Moore is just, is he going to be ready as a redshirt freshman potentially to get out there and take over as a starter?
All right, let's go safety recruit that broke your heart. Somebody that you thought would be a lot better at Wisconsin for whatever reason, just didn't quite happen.
So I'm going to go with Patrick Johnson. When he was when recruited, he had his film. The ball skills were incredible, and I just remember thinking true free safety, center fielder type. He just injured, couldn't make it happen with injuries. Had a season-ending injury. I think it's the 2nd season. But yeah, I mean, I remember thinking, wow, true great center fielder that had incredible ball skills. Just didn't work out.
Yeah, was it Temecula?
Oh, Frank Temecula.
Temecula.
Yeah, out of Maryland.
Yeah. 4-star safety, came to Wisconsin, never heard again. It just, as far as I know, it fell off the face of the earth. Shane Carter, too, man, had a lot of upside to him. Like there was talk of him becoming an all Big Ten type guy, and then had some issues.
Yeah. Frank is a great one because he came out of good lady. Or what's it? The council, good lady of my council, which is we just got Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Right, Dylan Jones.
Dylan Jones.
Yeah, Dylan Jones.
And I talked to the head coach and I asked him about Frank, and he wasn't the head coach when Frank was there, but he knew him because he was an assistant coach. And he said Frank was a great kid, great player. Just had injury problems at Wisconsin, and he didn't know why it didn't work out. But yeah, that's a great one, Justin. I was gonna go. This might be a bit of a cop out, but Reggie Pearson, just because we should have gotten 4 years of Reggie Pearson Jr. And
he finished at Oklahoma.
Yeah, he finished at Oklahoma, but he went where did he go in between? Didn't he go to
Texas Tech?
Yeah, he went. But he could hit, man. I remember that Michigan game, that forced fumble when he flew up, and it was like the only highlight of that game for the Badgers. But 4 years of him would have been so fun.
The second coming of Jay Valai.
Oh yeah, he was a missile, man. And a leader, teammates gravitated towards him. Let's go. Former Badger safety that you think is perpetually underrated by Badger fans.
Oh, man.
All right. So, I mean, this one, I have two. One that maybe is a little underrated. I loved Scott Nelson. I think he was such a fantastic safety. Then I wouldn't say he's really underrated. And my other guy's definitely not underrated, but I'm still going to talk about him. But Scott Nelson, just in general, I felt like really brought it, really gamer, played really hard every game. And I think he was, for some part, underappreciated. The other guy was definitely not underappreciated, but every time we talk about safeties, I want to bring up Jim Leonard, who is my all-time favorite Badger. Just an unbelievable guy, special teams, incredible safety, played in the NFL. Obviously, we all know Jim Leonard. I just feel like now, he played great in the NFL. He was a coach. His time at Wisconsin playing wasn't really talked about as much anymore. Man, I mean, he was playing when I went to school there. Such an incredible safety to watch and so fun. And even though I know he's not underrated, I have to just take the opportunity to talk about him.
Ryan, why don't you toss yours out here real quick? I need to grab my name.
Yeah, Cannon L, by the way, says Eric Burrell, so underrated. That's a good one. I've got two really quick. I want to give a quick, because we weren't doing the podcast when Leo Musso was in college.
That's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hated the idea that he was, I'll own it. I hated the idea that he was going to be the starting safety his senior year. I said, this is a terrible, terrible move. He's going to get lit up. This shows how weak we are. I was all in my feelings about Leo Musso. And that first game was against LSU, right? And he balled out. He was a really good, solid safety.
I think the what made us worry about him was watching him try to take down Henry in the Alabama game and just get annihilated.
He looked like a
trying to close the hole. You see Derrick Henry just come flying through.
And the next year was Leonard Fournette, right, coming to Lambeau. But he played really solid. You got to give Musso a ton of credit. But my other one I really want to talk about was Tanner McAvoy. The thing is, Tanner McAvoy never was a tackler, right? And the problem is when you're a free safety and you're that last line, and sometimes you're not a great tackler. That's what people focus on.
He didn't always take great angles either.
He didn't, but you also got to realize the dude had 6 picks. Yeah. He was such a rangy center fielder.
Let's be honest. If he was a hitter, you'd be talking about a first-round draft pick at a 6'6" center fielder type safety.
He was everything I wanted in a deep, rangy center fielder to protect those deep middles, right? To jump balls. I thought he was perpetually underrated because he wasn't a great hitter, but what he did was really solid. All right, I think that's our safety thing. I'm gonna get some more comments here. Robert Sorson, Dakota Dixon. Hey, Bo Dragon, Tanner McAvoy was the most underrated safety. There we go, Bo. I didn't see that comment. I swear I didn't steal yours. Right. Bo says Ryan copying me. No, it wasn't. Let's go here. Robert Sorensen, Colin Wilder, great team leader, Grit Factory. That's a good one. Guys, I'm going to hunt for a couple more great comments from our great community here. I want to kick it over to you guys while I do that. And any other points on the safety talk, any safety conversation that we missed on?
Nothing for me. I mean, we discussed this previously in a couple of our other shows, how athletic this group is compared to what we've had in the past at Wisconsin, and seeing a lot of these names pop up that people are dropping right now kind of just really emphasizes that fact. I mean, we had a lot of 4.8 safeties that were in there, that guys that played really hard and were very assignment sound. but they were not guys that against teams like Ohio State or LSU or Bama, you want out on an island against somebody.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to add is, again, just how deep this group is. And I mean, we're going to find out very quickly how great they play well together, along with the quarterbacks, and how great the secondary really can be. Because I think that's something that, I mean, I've obviously brought it up a few times. I think the secondary is going to be magnificent this year with everything, all the pieces we have. And so, I mean, that could really be, it could be game changing in many cases. Like even when we play Ohio State, like we're going to have a better defensive secondary than we've ever had. Well, at least in recent memory, as far as I'm concerned.
Most
so
athletic.
Yeah, definitely most athletic. So I feel like that's really, it's going to put us in a different class this year. I mean, look, our defense has been incredible for many years, and that's been the cornerstone of our team. But now with the secondary being what it is, teams that then they are going to throw the ball on us because we're going to be ahead. They're going to be throwing a lot. But you know, how game changing can they be? And I mean, are we going to maybe even blow teams out a little more because of their turnover capabilities and being able to really shut down opposing offenses? So I think it's really an exciting group in general that I'm very much looking forward to seeing. We're 20 days away, guys, 20 days.
And that's a good point with the Ohio State one. Rick Leggett brings up Ohio State playing in Madison this year will be epic. ESPN game day potentially. Listen, the three of us are going to be there. I'll be a night game, Halloween weekend in Madtown. Let us know in the Discord on Twitter if you're going to be there. We're going to have a get-together the day before. It's not going to be quite like the show we did, but we're going to get together. We're going to buy people beer. I'll probably give away a couple helmets. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I know speaking for everybody here, we cannot wait for that one.
I also think we need some costume ideas maybe from our community, because if we're going to hit State Street and walk on Halloween weekend, we're going to need to look good out there. So any 3-person costume ideas, throw them in the chat.
One thing I want to just throw out there is an underlying fact that I think is going to play out this year. With the defense being as aggressive it is, with the offense being as hopefully high scoring as we think it's going to be.
Oh, hold that thought, because this is a comment I want to put up. And then I'm going to kick it to you. Nathan Hammond says, how do you think the up-tempo offense will affect the defense, especially if we have quicker scoring?
I don't think it's going to affect it as much as people think. I've been standing out and saying that, given how bad the offense has been over the last few years with 3 and outs, that if you have a 6-play drive versus a 3-play drive where it's a 3 and out, roughly the same amount of time. Like there's probably going to be some difference. But if you lose a minute or 2 of game time, do you really think that that's going to change how effective the defense is? I don't. Now, if it's a 5-minute change or 6-minute change in gameplay, yeah, then we could start to have some issues. But, that's one of the things with this team too, is they're going to have to do a better job of getting more depth and having better athletes that they can shift out more. So I think they're headed in that direction. But yeah, I'm not expecting it. But the point I was going to make was simply this. When it comes to the offense getting up, and if we do attack on defense, those guys in the secondary having a couple extra steps to them will make a big difference when balls get just thrown up. And that's where the turnovers happen.
Greg Lincecum comes in, and Greg, as always, thank you for the comments. Thank you, everybody, for the comments, by the way. I don't always say that. I mean it, though. He said, any word on walk-ons that might play this year? Riley Nowakowski, obviously former walk-on. Owen Arnett has gotten.
I was going to say Owen, yeah. Slot corner right now.
I'm trying to think of who else. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. That's who sticks out to me, though, immediately, is those two. And both of those have a pretty legitimate chance to play. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys. We're at 34 minutes. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in. We did have a question, the over-under. I think it was 1.5. How many coaches Bo Dragon is going to want to get fired this year? He responded with just one, Greg Gard. So, as always, thank you to everybody who tuned in. What's up, Rio? I see you jumping in there. Cannon L says Seattle NFC champs. Not with that quarterback, bro. Stop it. You're not going to come on the show anymore if you're spitting that kind of nonsense. Absolutely stop it. All right. We're going to wrap up there. Nathan says thank you. A bunch of comments I didn't get to. I know Kathleen, I saw you in there. Tyler, I didn't get all yours in. Steve, I apologize for that, but really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Yeah, go ahead, Rajiv.
I will say earlier, and that we didn't. I don't know if you popped this up or not, but Bo Dragon had a comment way earlier, like 7:15 or something.
Let me see.
It was a very. I think it was 7:13. Very positive comment that I think we should put up here. And we don't get a ton of positivity from Bo Dragon, but it was something nice about Locked On Badgers. And he was basically saying that he listened to the Ohio State one and that this show wasn't even 10% as good as this one. So thank you, Bo Dragon, for that nice comment. It was
I didn't even see that. What's up,
Yeah.
Bo? Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. That's a great spot to end on. Nathan says, thanks. Appreciate everybody. On Wisconsin. Let's do it again tomorrow. See if I can do an awkward outro. That was pretty good.